Low back pain can have many causes, but two of the most common themes that we see as physical therapists in our patients is that people with low back pain have low back muscle weakness and low back muscle tightness. So if you haven't already found my best low back stretches video, I'll go ahead and link that above so you can go ahead and check that out and work on your muscle flexibility. But today I'm going to show you my 6 best low back strengthening exercises. Our first low back pain strengthening exercise is a bridging exercise. You'll lie on your back with both knees bent, arms down to your sides. This exercise targets the hip muscles, the glutes. One of the big things that we see with weakness in people with low back pain or chronic low back pain is that they forget how to isolate their glute muscles. They have a really hard time in squeezing their glutes. If you cue them and say, let me see you squeeze your glutes, they can't figure it out. They just don't have that coordination anymore. They rely on using their back muscles way too often. So for this exercise, we're trying to train you to re-engage those glute muscles. So arms down to your sides. Think about squeezing your buttocks together as you raise your hips up towards the ceiling. And say you're having difficulty feeling that, or like you just can't isolate the glutes. You're just having that hard time. Take your hands, place them on your buttocks, and then try to squeeze, because that'll give you that external cueing, that feedback, that you'll actually feel those muscles squeezing, which then allows your brain to kind of relearn that movement and figure out that coordination. You're like, okay, when I squeeze this muscle group, I feel the actual tension in the muscles. You're raising up high enough to where you just have a little bend in your hips. So any further and you're gonna really feel it in your back. So we're going to stop where you still have this slight bend in your hips, just a short pause, and then back down. You'll do the bridging exercise for 3 sets of 10. Our next exercise is a quadruped donkey kick. So for this exercise, you'll be on your hands and knees, have your knees shoulder width apart, your hands shoulder width apart. The hands are directly underneath the shoulders, the knees are directly underneath the hips, your back is flat. And then engage your core by pulling the belly button up in towards your spine. So you're bracing, you have that abdominal brace going on. You're tightening your core, flattening your back, so have your back completely flat. And then you're going to engage your right glute muscle by extending that heel. So I'm pretending like I'm kicking the ceiling with my heel. I'm raising that heel up towards the ceiling, pausing at the top, and then back down. So I'm still keeping my core tight the whole time. I'm thinking about keeping that belly button pulled in as I'm squeezing my right buttock. And so we'll do the quadruped donkey kick for 3 sets of 10. Our third exercise is a standing oblique crunch. So for this exercise, you'll need some kind of heavy weight. So I've grabbed a 35-pound dumbbell. I do these often so I can go a little heavier. You'll definitely want to start off lighter if this is your first time. So just any kind of dumbbell or kettlebell that you can hold to your side, just on one side. You'll place the other hand behind your head, and then you're going to squeeze your obliques on the opposite side. So I'm doing a side crunch, a standing oblique crunch. So I'm shortening this side up, kind of scrunching up like a taco, little pause, and then back down. It is important that you're not shrugging the weight on your other side, because you can kind of cheat this with a shrug. You'll feel it up here in your neck. But really practice on just relaxing this arm that's holding the weight. And so you're getting all the force here in the obliques. You're also working those lumbar lateral flexor muscles on the side of your back. So you're getting this nice standing oblique crunch. And you'll do this exercise for 3 sets of 10 on both sides. Our next low back strengthening exercise is a standing deadlift with dumbbells. So go ahead and grab 2 matching dumbbells. You'll hold those dumbbells in front of you with your palms facing you. And then I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see the way that I initiate this exercise. So I'm standing shoulder width apart, and then I'm going to hinge down by initiating a hip hinge. My hips are going to bend back, and I'm going to shift my hips back. As I allow those weights to lower towards the floor, they're right in front of my shins, and then I'm going to squeeze my glutes on the way back up. So I'm coming down until my back is nice and flat, squeezing my glutes on the way back up. So for the standing deadlift, You'll do 3 sets of 10. Our fifth exercise is a Superman. And now for this exercise, I have placed a BOSU ball, so one of those half balls underneath me to give me some elevation here, and it's nice and soft, so they work really well if you do have one or have access to one. If you don't have one, you can alternate with 2 or 3 pillows by placing the pillows underneath your hips, so you have either choice there. So for the Superman, you'll lie with your belly button centered over the ball or the pillows. You'll have all 4 of your, both arms extended overhead and your legs extended, and then your arms are gonna lift up. So basically I'm lifting my chest and arms up to where my upper body is in line. It's in a nice straight line, and I'm getting really good engagement of my glutes and my low back, my lumbar extensor muscles. So again, I'm continuing to look straight down, so I'm not gonna extend my neck up. We wanna protect the neck. So keep your eyes straight down and lift the chest and arms up to where you're nice and in line, and then back down. So a little pause at the top, and then you can do the Superman exercise for 3 sets of 10. Now the one caveat with this exercise is that you're really working those lumbar extensors hard, so they will tighten up. So after each set, I have my patients come up when they complete their set of 10, and I have them get into a little child's pose to get that lumbar stretch in between. So you can even go side to side, a little side bend, just get a little stretch in between, and then go back into their next set. So just make sure that you're stretching those muscles in between each set. Our 6th and final low back strengthening exercise is a hip thrust on a Physio Ball. So you can see I have a Physio Ball behind me here. I also have a heavy weight dumbbell on my waist. So basically I cradle the weight underneath me, so that pads the pelvis. It makes it much more comfortable. I have my feet shoulder width apart, and then I'm going to raise up onto the ball so that my shoulders and my head are both supported on the ball. So that's important to protect your neck, all right? So make sure your shoulders and your head are supported on the ball. I've got the weight resting on my hands. I'm gonna start with my hips down towards the floor, and then I'm gonna squeeze my glutes and bridge up towards the ceiling, all right? So I'm coming straight up, I'm getting a maximal squeeze on my glutes. If I come too high and really oversell it, then I'm gonna get my back engaged, but I don't wanna go quite that high. I'm really just trying to get the glutes involved on this one. I'm gonna lower the hips back down, but only lowering so far that the ball doesn't rock forward. So we don't want this ball moving all over the place. We want to keep it stationary, so keep the ball from rolling. Lower the hips down, squeeze the glutes, come up into that bridge. A little pause, maximal glute squeeze at the top, little squeeze, and you'll do 3 sets of 10. Remember to go check out my best low back pain stretching video next as you continue on your pathway to living a pain-free and healthy lifestyle.